Thank you for joining us tonight for this virtual cooking class with UD Blue Hens. My name is Kate Bailey, and I'm the Assistant Director of Regional Alumni Programs at UD. As we have done so often in various cities and around the country in person, we love to showcase our alumni and their expertise. Tonight is no different, but rather we are gathering from our respective kitchens and dining tables. We are thrilled that you have joined us for this exclusive interactive event. But before we start tonight's program, I want to do a few housekeeping items. Participants are muted during the program, but you may submit questions through the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen. Questions and comments are encouraged throughout. We are recording this program and it will be available to all participants by early next week. Now I'm excited to introduce you to fellow and successful chef and business owner, Dana Herbert. Dana graduated from UD's Hotel, Restaurant, and Institutional Management program in 1998. Since graduation, he has amassed a rather impressive resume, including, most notably, his big win on TLC's Cake Boss, The Next Great Baker, in 2010. In addition, he has made appearances on the Food Network, The Cooking Channel, James Beard's Celebrity Chef Tour, and countless acclaimed food and beverage publications. Chef Dana is trained in both culinary and pastry, and he loves to blend his sweet and savory styles together, something that you will witness and enjoy this evening. Today, he is the proud chef and owner of Desserts by Dana, right here in Newark, Delaware. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming chef and fellow Blue Hen, Dana Herbert.
Welcome, everybody. I am excited to be back with my Blue Hens cooking tonight. We've had a great time cooking over, I guess you could say, Katie, the past couple months. We've done a few programs together, and I'm excited to be working with some more of my Blue Hens tonight. We have a great menu in store for you. We have chicken saltimbocca. We're going to do Italian kind of like lemon soda tonight, and we're going to do a little bit of baking with peaches and blackberries. And I apologize in advance. I know that my title said peach and blackberries, and in the description there I might have accidentally typed blueberries. So if you bought blueberries, don't worry, it's going to be amazing because I've made it that way too. But tonight we're supposed to use blackberries. So if you got the blackberries tonight for peach and blackberry, great. If you didn't, then don't worry. Peach and blueberries is going to taste phenomenal also. But I did notice that on page number, I want to say page number 3, the blackberry and peach and bacon cobbler. So speaking of bacon, some people might have prepped their bacon, some people might have not. And what I mean by that is some people might have cooked it already. So I did take into account tonight that some people might not have. So I have my bacon right here, just so you guys see. I'll be starting right from scratch with those that might not have gotten to prep their bacon. So first thing we want to do tonight is we want to turn on our oven. So let's turn our oven on. We're going to turn it to 375. For those that have the convection oven, i.e. the one with the little fan that's going around and around and around, you want to drop your temperature 25 degrees less. So if we do have questions, we can tackle them first. That's totally cool with me. So if any of you guys have questions regarding a recipe, we can tackle some of those before we jump right in there. If you do have some questions about recipes or just some general questions, that's totally cool as well. I am open.
Dana, we do have a few questions off the bat, but I do want to sprinkle them in a little bit.
Okay.
Some of your expertise, but one of the things I think that's important to start out with, somebody asked what liquor goes well with lemon soda?
Well, this is a grown-up group, right? We're not cooking with the kids tonight. So what alcohol would go well with the lemon soda? You could do a variety of things with the lemon soda. Of course, you could do limoncello. That would be great. You could do, let's see, Prosecco would be nice with the lemon soda because it does have a little bit of bite to it. You could do certain types of, not all, but certain types of Moscatos. I might steer clear of that peach one. That one's becoming popular, but I would steer clear of the peach one if you're playing with lemon sodas. Champagnes are going to work very well with the lemon soda as well. The Prosecco is kind of similar. So any of those sparkling wines should work pretty well with this Italian lemon soda.
We have
so forth.
Rhonda, who's using vodka, and Heather Brooks, who's using gin. I think we've got a good variety going.
Yes, they will work as well. The vodka and the gin will work well with the lemon soda. It really will.
And then just another question to kick us off as we're working on dessert. Alan and Rebecca asked, how do you feel about almond extract instead of vanilla for the cobbler?
Almond extract instead of vanilla. I could rock with that. Almond's going to give it a nice flavor. Almond, you know, was one of those flavors that was reserved a lot of times for special events. It was, I guess, the way flavors went back in the day. It initially started with like rose water because it was common where they could take the rose leaves, steep them, extract the oils and so forth, and they would have rose water that they would use for a flavoring. Then as time went along, vanilla kind of took the top spot. It became the most popular of all the flavorings, the most common. Almond was normally reserved for those special events when you wanted to show off a little bit. The almond extract was a little bit more expensive, the pure almond extract, and you see it show up a lot of times at weddings and so forth. So almond would give that special little something to your baked dishes. So I could totally rock with that. Almond will go very well with peaches. They're a natural combination, and it works well with all kinds of berries. So I could see almonds really playing well in this dish.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that advice, and I will stop asking questions and let you get started.
No problem. No problem. I love it. I love it. Okay. So guys and gals, we should have our oven turned on right now. If you haven't turned it on, let's go ahead and fire it up. We're going to go to 375 degrees. Again, for those with the convection oven, the one that's got the fan in there that's helping the air circulate, put yours at 350. All right? So it'll be about the same as a conventional oven. So I've got my 6 pieces of bacon here. Let's put this in the oven now. Let's go for the 6 pieces of bacon. We'll get that cooked. So into the oven I go. Bacon, it takes about a good 10 minutes, maybe 15, depending on the strength of your oven, for the bacon to cook. We just want to get it crispy. It's going to end up going in the batter here. If we're on page 3, it ends up going in right near the end. Okay? Yep, we add the crumbled bacon. It's in step number 3 that we'll add that in there. All right? And make sure everybody's got their favorite ice cream on deck because this dessert goes extremely well when it's warm with some ice cream. All right. So let's turn to, now that we've got our bacon in the oven, let's turn to page number 2. We'll go ahead and get our basil syrup going for our Italian soda. All right. So for the basil syrup, guys, I have a few ingredients here. I'll show them to you real quick. For most syrup, we're going to need some sugar. We're going to need some water right there. And in this case, we're going to need some basil. You can use Thai basil. You could use regular basil. Totally up to you, okay? They're both going to work great. And we're going to need a pot. So I've got my pot right here. I'm going to pour my water into here. And I'm going to pour my sugar into here. All right. Okay. So somebody asked, is a spoon above my head my tasting spoon? That's funny. Okay. So, yep, I found those at Pier 1 Imports, guys. So if you've heard or not heard, Pier 1 Imports is going out of business. So now would be the time if you want like a big fork and a big whisk to get them, because you're gonna get it like 30% off. It's sad to see them go. They've been around a long time, but now would be the time to get it. Okay. So on my stove here, I've got my sugar, I've got my water going, and then I'm going to put my basil in here. So everybody, take your basil, your sugar, and your water. Let's throw these in the pot together, and we're just gonna let them come to a boil. Once
Dana,
that
how many basil leaves are in a bunch?
Ooh. That's a very good question. Let me grab a basil leaf or a pack out of here. I'll show you what I consider to be a bunch. Because depending on how they packaged it, it could vary. But see right here, this would be like a bunch of basil leaves, in my opinion. So if we were to count them, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's about 7. That's about equivalent 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe about 13 leaves or so to this bunch. This would be about how much I put in the pot. Sometimes, right, you get these little poo-poo pieces in the containers. If you're lucky right now, and I was seeing it more pre-coronavirus, we would see the plant. Like you go in the grocery store, they have the whole plant in the plastic sleeve, and you can just pluck off what you wanted. That's my favorite way to get it because it lasts longer, because the basil is literally still in the soil. It's alive, and you're just plucking it as you need it. But right now, I see basil coming more pre-packaged, I think, so that people don't touch as much. But about 13 leaves. All right. So, I mean, really, after that, after we bring this to a boil, we're going to let it cool. Let the basil steep in there so that it can really come out in the mixture. Some of yours might even turn a little greenish, which is totally cool, which means you've gotten a lot of oils out of there. It's going to take about 5 minutes or so on the stove. All right. So we've got our basil syrup going. We've got our baking cooking. Let's take a look at going back to page number 3 in the recipe packet, that Blackberry and bacon cobbler. So you're going to need a baking dish. In the directions there, I have an 8x8. This one is more like a, let's see, what's this here? I love this one though. This is made by Emile Henry. It bakes really well. So my dish today is really more like 10 inches wide, or 10 inches in length, 8 inches wide. So I'm slightly off from my 8x8, but it's going to bake beautiful in here. So that's why I'm using this one today. And you guys know, you guys have certain dishes that just bake better than others. This is definitely one of them. All right. So let's see here. Let's start to make our mixture for our fruit mixture for our cobbler. Let me show you what I got going on here so you can see all the goodies. We got some blackberries. I've got some peaches. These are just regular canned peaches. If you use fresh ones, you can totally do that as well. I've got some OJ. I got a little bit of azúcar, aka sugar. We have some vanilla and some salt. I tell you, every time I spin around here to grab something, I'm smelling that basil back there, and it's smelling good already. I have some additional sugar, baking powder, and I have a little bit of regular flour here. So these are all the ingredients that we need for our fruit cobbler. So if we're looking at the recipes here, let's take a look at step number 2, where it says we're going to mix the blackberries and the peaches in conjunction with the sugar and the orange juice. So the sugar that they're talking about is the 3 tablespoons, okay? Not this husky amount here in the bowl. That's going to go in our little batter, should I say. But we're talking about these peaches with these blackberries, with this orange juice, and this sugar. All right, that's what we want to mix together. So these guys are going to go in here. We can mix them all around. okay? So I'm gonna take my dish, right? And we're gonna add the peaches in there. Now this one here, the cobbler part just kind of, how should I say this? It's almost like little biscuity type pieces that are kind of on top and kind of in with the fruit. If you're looking for more of a, how should I say this? More of a cakey cobbler, you can just multiply the little cobbler bit in here, make more, and just kind of fold it throughout your dish. If you ever choose to make it a little more cakey.
Chef, should we use the pan?
You could, honestly though, I never have to because of all the butter that's in my cobbler here. I never really have to. It normally comes out pretty easy for me, but you can.
Great, thanks.
Okay. All right, so I've got my fruit in here. Now I'm gonna pour on the orange juice. And then I'm going to pour on the sugar. And we know what the sugar does. The sugar is going to act just like it does when you're doing, what's that word for it? Strawberry shortcake. When you do the fresh version and you're basically macerating the fruit. So it's going to basically open up the pores of the fruit and allow that sugar to go in and kind of sweeten up your fruit, so to speak. So then I just take a spoon and I just kind of toss it around a bit, make sure everybody's getting some love in the pan. No piece of fruit saying, "Daddy, what about me? What about me?"
Chef,
Okay.
do you recommend
Yeah.
fresh or canned peaches?
It depends. If the peaches are in season and you can get your hands on them, I would go fresh. Right now, there's a place over in Jersey, and I can't think of the name of it, where they have the most amazing peaches. Like they are borderline crack. And when you can get your hands on them, they are phenomenal. Right now with COVID, I haven't been able to get my hands on these peaches, but like they're so good. One time I went to make peach cobbler, and I almost didn't have enough because I found that I had eaten half of them before I could make the dish. I was like, uh-oh, problem.
Jersey's a good place to get peaches.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you have the ability to get your hands on some fresh, ripe peaches, not the crunchy ones, but the ripe ones that are kind of fleshy, get it. Like, they'll be amazing. We didn't have any that I felt today in the store would do it justice. They were all kind of hard. The nectarines were starting to get there, but the peaches were not. Okay. So let's look now at the second part of step number 2. We want to mix some of our other ingredients together. So the first thing that we need to do here, where it says in a small bowl, thoroughly mix the flour, baking powder, and the salt and set aside. So here's our flour, right? 2/3 of a cup. Here's our salt. We're going to throw that in there. And then here's our baking powder. I'm going to add that together. Now, the reason that they're doing that is that they just want to make sure that the ingredients are well dispersed amongst each other. This is one of them baking things on why they're mixing it together, so that when you make your mixture, it's not like a clump or so forth. So that's what it should look like right there. It should basically disappear in the dish and so forth. You want to make sure that it's totally gone and you don't see any like bright white spots from the baking powder. Now your house should be smelling good, or your place should be smelling good, because your basil syrup should be back here doing its thing. It's been boiling for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you've hit the 5-minute mark, if you have a super strong stove, then go ahead and turn your heat off. I'm going to actually turn mine down a bit because I know my pot likes to to get raging. And I'm gonna let mine go for about a minute longer. Okay, just double check. Don't let your basil syrup get away from you and burn up, okay? Once you've cooked it and it's that basil is steeped in there, and if you're good with it, pull it from the heat. All right, I'm watching mine now. Mine is looking pretty good. I've got about 30 more seconds on mine. That smells good. Okay. All right, so we got about 30 seconds, guys. We're gonna pull our pots. In the meantime, let's just make sure we have our other ingredients for this cobbler, right? So we should have that mixture of the dry ingredients that we just mixed together, the flour, the baking powder, and the salt. We should have some vanilla, right? I should have my butter, which is right here. It does help if your butter is softened. If your butter is ice cold, you can throw it in the microwave for a 15-second blast, check it. If you want to make it a little softer, another 15 seconds, check it and get it to the soft point. We should have, oops, I got 2 eggs. We should have 1 egg, and we should have our sugar. So the first thing that we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna cream the butter and the sugar together, then we're gonna add the egg to it, then we'll add the dry to it. Our minute is about up on our pot, guys, so let's check our pots. Should be looking good. I'm gonna show you mine. Okay. I don't know if you can tell, but it has a greenish tint to it. All right, so I'm gonna let mine cool down now. It does have a greenish tint. It's smelling very fragrant. Yeah, that basil's really coming out. All right, I'm gonna set that to the side. Now, we also have our saute pan that we're gonna need tonight, right? So on our saute pan, let's turn that on, put it on a medium heat. Okay, so I'm gonna set that right in the back. I have my saute pan right on a medium heat. And the reason I keep it there is so that it'll react well once we start cooking this chicken, because the chicken will move at a pretty good pace. So let's get our cobbler in the oven, and then we'll go to chicken. And then while the chicken's going, we'll make ourselves an adult beverage, if you choose. Okay, so I got my butter here. We're gonna drop that in the pan. Okay, I'm just double checking my bacon too, because I'm starting to smell it. All right, so where's my spatula here? Here we go, let's see it. She's hiding from me. So I'm gonna take my softened butter and I'm gonna throw it right in the bowl. And you can see how soft it is. See right here as I'm just tapping it? It's pretty soft, right? I can just totally touch it like this. My butter's pretty soft. Okay. I'm gonna add the sugar here to my butter. And then I'm gonna mix them around. I'm doing it by hand tonight in case somebody doesn't have a KitchenAid. Don't worry, we're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you there tonight. No KitchenAid necessary. So I'm just mixing the butter and the sugar together, right? Making sure all that sugar is getting absorbed, right? Just kind of, as we call it in the baking world, we're kind of creaming it. So we're just, by agitating it here, we're just making sure the butter and sugar are mixed together. And we're putting a little bit of air into it, but it's not so overly crucial because we do have a little bit of baking powder tonight in our dish. Now, if you were making a cake, this would be a lot more of a crucial step in that if you were making a cake and you were creaming, say, that butter and sugar, we would take this all the way to the point where we got, say, a bright white with it, so that we knew that there was a lot of air incorporated into the butter and sugar. But today we really just need to be able to combine it. And you can see right there It's totally combined. You don't see any sugar crystals in there, right? It's got that sheen to it, as my grandmother would say. Definitely has a sheen, which is that surface shine. That's how you know the sugar's in there. When I was growing up, my grandmother would be like, "Oh yeah, that's good. It's got the sheen." And I'd be like, "Grandma, what in the world are you talking about? What sheen are you talking about?" And she would be referring to the amount of sugar or the glossiness that she could see in something, which indicated to her that it had a fair amount of sugar in the recipe. All right, so our next step is the egg. I'm gonna drop that in there, okay? And then we're going to combine that egg into the butter and the sugar mixture. Now, a lot of people ask me, "Hey, how did you get involved in baking?" And it's kind of like a twofold answer. One answer is that I was working at Vita Nova, which is on the University of Delaware campus. Depending on what years you were there, you might or might not have seen Trabant, but Trabant is an amazing student center. And upstairs, there's a student-run dining room. That student-run dining room wins awards in the state. So it's phenomenal as to what these kids can do, led by Joe DiGregorio. He was the chef at the time. And Debbie Ellingworth, she was right under Joe as another chef in the kitchen. Debbie did more of the baking. Joe did more of the culinary, but together they were a powerhouse. I loved working at Vita Nova. I was their first, I guess you could say, culinary employee. I would teach the class below me, the junior class, how to do the lunch items. It's funny, I always knew I was going to be in the restaurant industry, but I had no idea that I was going to end up owning a bakery and so forth. Debbie would always show me some different things in the kitchen. I remember picking up a book, and we made this cheesecake. I still use that cheesecake recipe like to this day. It's phenomenal. What else did we do? We were also doing these Bavois cakes, and I'm like, what is that? That shows you how green I was in the baking world. But Debbie showed me how to incorporate some gelatin and so forth into my vanilla mousses and white chocolate mousses to make them amazing, give them some body and so forth. All right, so everybody, bacon. Let's check your bacon if you haven't already. So here's my bacon, pretty much ready to go. I'm gonna pull it off this pan, and I'm just gonna put it on something so that I can soak up a little bit of the grease, okay? So I'm just gonna grab a napkin here. I'm gonna grab a little dish so I can pull the bacon off and soak up a little bit of this grease. Now, there's all kinds of things you can do with the leftover bacon grease. One of the very popular things to do with it is you could do spinach salad and make a bacon dressing. That's probably one of the most popular things you can do with leftover bacon grease. If you're old school, Grandma always had some bacon grease in the refrigerator because she would saute different things in the bacon grease sometimes, whether it be green beans or other things like that to give it some extra flavor. Another thing you can do with the bacon fat, non-traditional, is you can incorporate it into your chocolate. Ooh wee, like a chocolate ganache with the bacon fat in there is incredible. When I go to Disney, I do, it's a different peach cobbler that I do down there. It's funny, I only make that peach cobbler a couple times a year, but Disney always has me do this one. And I use the bacon fat, and I do a bacon fat caramel. Insane. Okay, so everybody should have this combination in your bowl, guys. That is our butter, that is our sugar, and that is the egg. The next thing that we're going to add to that is we're going to add in our vanilla, and then we're going to add the dry ingredients. So let's add the vanilla to our bowl. Okay, Mix that around to incorporate it. It might take just a second because you're incorporating something wet into something that has a fair amount of fat into it. So it might resist you for just a second. But as you can see, mine is in there now. Okay. Now it's time to put in our dry ingredients. So I'm gonna sprinkle in some of that flour. Okay. Just gonna eat it up real quick, right? You can scrape your bowl, make sure you're getting everything off the side. And then I'm gonna put in some more flour. Mix it up until just combined. But we want it to be tender.
Chef,
That's the one thing with bacon. We got a question? Fire away.
Matthew Brees asks, is it better to mix it like that by hand compared to using a paddle mixer?
So Matthew's question is a good one. You can definitely do it by hand. It's easier to stay a little more tender when you're doing it by hand. The mixer, I'll be honest, is what we're using in the commercial world every day because of the volumes that we're making. So it really comes down to the nuance of your style and the machine and knowing when to stop. With the mixer, things can move pretty quickly. So I'm not going to say you can't use it because I use it every day, but it can get away from you faster. That would probably be the best answer. So you just have to be mindful, like you just want to mix this, right, until it's just mixed. Like you don't need to keep beating it and so forth. And with the mixer, that's probably the what could happen faster because of the mechanics. It's designed to mix quickly, straight from the sides and so forth. But you can use it. And I do use them in the bakery every day. Okay. So here we go. This is my mixture right here, guys. Just like that. You got just a little traces of flour. If I wanted to do like that and do like that, they'll disappear. But that's it. I don't want to mix it much more. I want that tenderness. It's kind of like when you're making biscuits, so to speak. And you want the biscuit to hold together, obviously, but you don't want to overdo it because if you overdo it, then your biscuits get tough. All right. So now I'm going to take some of this mixture and I'm just going to drop bits on here. Kind of spread it with my finger a little bit, spoon it off. And I'm going to get this mixture all over the top of this fruit. And then we're going to bake it, guys. It's like that saying goes, that bake it till you make it. Well, right now we're going to bake it till we make it. All right, there we go. And I'm just spreading pieces all over here, making sure everybody's getting a little love. It's okay if you don't cover like every single nook and cranny. It's not like it has to just spread all over the top. Because again, this is real, this is rustic, this is homey. Okay. Another thing you could do with a dish like this is you could mix up the orange juice with your peaches, blackberries, and sugar, and you can make all kinds of like, say like little cups, so to speak, or little vessels, and then have like, 8, 10, 12 little cups there full of fruit, and then you just drop this right on top of each one of them. So if you're entertaining or you want to have a little party or something like that, this would totally work as well.
A couple of comments about when to add the bacon.
Oh, dang it. You know what? I missed my step. Okay, you got me. So, what I should have done, I was so excited to put the top on, was I should have cut my bacon up and put it on top. Thank you guys for that comment. So here we go. I'm going to cut my bacon up and I'm going to sprinkle it all over the top of here. Where I could have added the bacon and should have added the bacon. Thank you guys for catching that. When I had it in the bowl, when I just mixed it, that's when I throw my bacon in. Normally, it won't hurt it. We're still gonna get that bacon going through this, the flavor going through here. It'll actually look nice because you'll be able to see all your bacon kind of on top, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so excited to get the cobbler in the oven. I'm looking at the bacon on my left and I never put it in. All right, so check this out, guys. See right here? I'm taking the bacon and I'm just tapping it, pushing it into my cobbler mixture. The step that somebody was asking about what had just happened in the bowl, and I apologize. I was so excited to bake it because I know it's going to taste great. It's going to taste yummy. All right, so I'm sprinkling the bacon on. I'm just tapping it here into my biscuit mixture. Now I'm tapping it into the biscuit mixture, and I could have crumbled it and just threw it on top, and it would have stuck just fine. But I want some of that fat that when this thing warms up to kind of permeate through my biscuit dough just a little more. So that's why I'm just tapping it and giving it a little tap and pushing it right into it. Just like this. Okay. All right, so this is how my cobbler is looking right now. Okay, that corner is a little naked over there, huh? Let's put a couple pieces there. There we go. I see some bacon fat happening. Put that guy right there. Okay, so that's how my cobbler looks, guys. And our next step is that we're going to throw that cobbler into our oven. So our oven should be at 375. Again, 350 degrees if you're using a, what's the word for it? Convection oven. Just gonna get rid of my bowl. And let's get ready to put this cobbler into the oven. All right, so I'm opening my oven and tossing in my cobbler. So that's the hardest part of tonight, guys, is getting the cobbler, getting it into the oven. And now we're gonna let the oven do its thing. I'm just gonna wipe my counter here real quick. Okay. So that was the hardest part of the whole night, was cobbler. Your part now is gonna be our chicken saltimbocca. Our cobblers, as you can see here, they're gonna go in the oven about 35 minutes. So if you want to, go ahead and set your timer. My advice, set it for 30 minutes and then check it. I always like to come just a little bit under, because then it gives me some wiggle room. Again, everybody's a little different, and my oven might cook a little different than yours. It definitely cooks different than the ovens in my bakery. So I'm gonna set for 30 so I can inspect what's going on. And if I need to, I'll put it on another 5 minutes. And if I don't, then I'll pull it out. Okay. I remember working at, let's see, where was I working at? It was at, I'm trying to think of the name of the dining hall. It was up on their campus. I think it was Pencader Dining Hall. And I was a prep cook. And that was my first time, I would say, before I got to Vita Nova, really cooking in a volume setting and cooking in convection ovens. It was amazing to see how much food we as teenagers ate when we were going to the University of Delaware. I mean, when I tell you I would be cutting bags and bags and bags of onions during a week, it was nuts. Like every day, I think I cut like a 50-pound bag of onions. So me and onion have this real love-hate relationship from when I was working at Pencader Dining Hall. And a lot of times the onions would win. I'd start crying. So that's why I learned all my techniques on how to cut onions. But my cooking really started at the University of Delaware, Pencader Dining Hall. I worked at, let's see, Harrington Dining Hall. Harrington, by far, had the #1 omelet cook on campus. everybody was standing in line for this one woman to make your omelets. And I'm trying to remember, I can't remember what her name was, but her omelets were outstanding. People would come all the way from Rodney and Dickinson, all the way across campus, walk 20-some minutes just to go to Harrington in the mornings on the weekends just to get her omelets. It was crazy, crazy. All right. So now we're going to look at chicken saltimbocca recipe. That's on page 1. We're going to need some chicken breast. We're going to need the chicken breast. It should be cut into 4 pieces, so I'm going to cut mine in just a second. We're going to need a little salt and pepper, which I got right here. Let's see, our next thing here is we're going to need to chop a little sage. So I got my sage leaves there. We're going to need some garlic cloves, which are right there. A pinch of red pepper flakes, which we have here. We're going to need a little olive oil so we can mix that with our sage and the garlic and the red pepper flakes to put on the chicken. And then, we're going to need some fontina cheese and some prosciutto, which I have right here. I'm just going to get rid of this egg.
Jeff, we have a couple of questions about substitutions.
Substitutions, go ahead.
Before you get started, do you have any recommended substitutions for sage? Maybe thyme or rosemary?
Well, I'll say this. Sage is kind of a unique ingredient. It has its own distinct flavor, just like thyme or rosemary had, but sage has a little bit of punch to it. If you don't want to use sage, though, thyme is definitely going to work awesome on chicken. It's almost like thyme and chicken are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go extremely well together. Rosemary, I love rosemary also. I'm a rosemary fanatic. I even put rosemary in my caramels, rosemary in my breads. I love rosemary. That's probably why I love focaccia so much, because that a lot of times has rosemary on the bread. Rosemary is a great substitution for sage in this dish. It will give that punch.
And then one other question, if somebody doesn't have prosciutto, would you recommend turkey bacon or pastrami?
So if someone doesn't have prosciutto, would I recommend turkey bacon or pastrami? I'm going to say that the turkey bacon would be closer to, actual bacon with the chicken. However, that pastrami is sounding very interesting, especially if it's very thin and you can wrap it in there. I've never done that, but my brain is telling me yum. So I'm gonna say you could do that.
We're gonna have some variations at the end of this.
Yeah, and if they have variations, please post pictures and tag the University of Delaware and myself in them, because we would love to see your variations. Love, 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 love.
And last question before you get started. Megan asks, do we chill the syrup yet for the drink?
So great question. I haven't chilled my syrup yet, but you can. Put it like this. When the syrup is normally done, I normally do chill it. I'll pull out the leaves and then I'll end up chilling it. So you can do that now if you want to. Go ahead and chill your syrup, just so it won't melt your ice so much in a little bit. All right. I'm going to pull out my basil leaves right now, since Megan brought it up. Let's pull out those basil leaves, guys. And I'm going to sit my syrup here in a little dish. I'm looking at all the sugar coming off these basil leaves. This is yummy, I'm telling you. All right, there we go. Okay. And now, let's see, let me get a little bowl. And I'm just going to put my syrup here in the bowl. Just like that. So I'm going to hang with Megan. I'm just going to throw it in the fridge for a second. Now, if you feel like, check this out. If you feel like your syrup has some little rock sugar crystals in there, right? And you're trying not to have it crystallize, a trick would be to take a little bit of lemon juice and squeeze it into your syrup if you want to. So I'm just going to put just a little dab of my already squeezed, oops, got a piece of basil in there. Get out of there. So I just put a little bit of my lemon juice into my syrup. And then I'm just going to just let it mix in there just a little bit. And this is all this is doing, guys, is really just stopping that crystallization, so to speak, that can happen. Because the acids break up the crystals or prevent some of the crystals from happening. Okay. All right. So that is my syrup with just a pinch of lemon juice in there. I can let it hang out right here on the counter because I have marble or granite, or you can take it and put it right into your fridge. All right. So I'm gonna sneak that in there, and we're gonna get rocking on chicken saltimbocca. So we explained the ingredients. I got my chicken here. I should be in 4 pieces, so I'm just gonna cut these 2 in half. If you want to trim a little bit of the fat off there, like on this guy, you can. I got my 2 pieces of chicken. Okay. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. The next step that I'm going to do is I need to chop up those sage leaves and my garlic. So if you haven't already, let's cut your garlic up. Just like that. Watch those fingers. Watch those fingers. I tell you, every time I pick up a knife, I get flashbacks of being at UD. It was because of those guys that actually wanted to go on the culinary school. I found that I love to cook. Our major, hotel, restaurant, and institutional management, it was somewhat new back then. It wasn't brand new, but it was kind of new because I was I want to say second class to come through that Vita Nova restaurant. I was a junior when it opened. There was 1 class ahead of us. But our major was very hands-on. So what I mean by that is, let's say if you missed class, they would actually call you and be like, so why weren't you in class today? And I'd be like, oh my goodness, this is like having mom and dad on campus. It's not that they were babying us through it. They were literally giving us the best that they had. All the people in our major, all the professors, like let's see, Bob Nelson and Kwanzaa, the late Paul Wise, Pam Cummings, Ron Cole, Joe DiGregorio, Debbie Ellingworth, all these guys, Byrne, they were very, very, very hands-on. Seth Stack was another one. And if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. But everybody was just very, very, very hands-on. My parents, they loved it because they knew there wasn't a lot of skipping of classes. So they were going to call you. Okay, so next thing I'm going to chop here, guys, is I'm going to chop the sage. So I'm just kind of rolling it up here. And I rolled up the sage leaves because I'm going to kind of chiffonade it like you would basil or some other things like that. And so by rolling it up here like this into a roll, I can then cut very thin strips of the sage, just like that. Okay, and then you end up with these nice little strands, should I say, once you unroll them. A lot of times this is what we're doing in the restaurants when we're shipping out in basil and so forth. But we'll just do it and then kind of pull them apart a little bit. You get these nice little thin strands. Okay, so I'm gonna put that back in the dish. So we got that ready to go. Okay, so now if we're reading our directions here, you can use a meat mallet to pound out your chicken a little bit if you feel like it needs a little tenderizing. Let me show you the get around for anybody that doesn't have a meat mallet. Check this out. Okay, I'm gonna show you the workaround here. And I'm just gonna wash my hands real quick before I touch this plastic wrap. But I'm gonna show you the workaround for anybody that does not have a meat mallet. Some of you guys that were on here with me might have seen it, some of you might not, but watch this. I'm gonna wash my hands before I touch that plastic. So we don't wanna cross-contaminate. Okay. And I'm gonna make sure I rinse off my lemons too. I might have touched them. All right. There we go. I'm gonna cut a piece of plastic, right? I'm just gonna rinse off my lemons just in case I did. Can't be too careful, right? Okay. I'll set my lemons right there. So now watch this. I'm gonna show you old school pounding when you don't have a meat mallet. So you would go to your cabinet if you don't have a meat mallet, right? And let's see, what is this? Oh, this is a good one. My kids, they won't mind. This is their manwich can. Somebody gave them some manwich. I didn't do it, so don't call me out. But this is their manwich can. If you don't have a meat mallet, you take your favorite canned goods, plastic wrap, hit it. I know you guys on social media, like, Chef was over there meat mallet in the chicken or the manwich can. Yes, I was, because I want to show you guys, if you don't have a meat mallet, this is how you get by. Okay, there you go. You see that? Chicken is tenderized.
Chef, is it possible to use thighs instead of breasts?
Is it possible to use thighs instead of chicken breast for chicken saltimbocca? Absolutely. It's going to taste delicious. I do love chicken thighs. The dark meat does have a lot of flavor to it. It really does. So sometimes even when I'm doing stir fries, things like that, and they'll call for chicken breast, I'll throw the chicken thighs in there because I know it's got good flavor. Yes. Great question. All right, guys, so here we go. We need to do some mixing. So we're got everything prepped here. If you're looking at number 1 here on page 1 of your recipes, and it says now that we've got the chicken, it's been flattened a bit. We're gonna do salt and pepper on each side, right? And we got our salt and pepper, right? A little salt, a little pepper. Just like that. Salt and pepper. And you can do each side. Make sure everybody's getting some love, right? Love for everybody. Okay. One more piece here. A little salt and pepper love. Let's get some salt on this side. Okay, so we've got salt and pepper on each side. The next thing that we want to do is we want to sprinkle the chicken with the chopped sage, the garlic, the red pepper flakes, and a little bit of olive oil. So here's what I'm going to suggest, right? I got some garlic here, which I'm throwing in this bowl. This is just my Dana tricks, right? I have my red pepper flakes, which I'm gonna throw in this bowl. I have my sage, which we're going to throw in this bowl. I'm gonna mix them around a little bit, just like this. Okay. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of my sage. And if you want to make it even stickier, check this out. Just a pinch of oil for right now. Mix it around. See how it even wants to stick to my hands? So we're going to take that and we're just going to tap it on that chicken. Remember, sage got some kick to it. So it doesn't take a lot. A little bit goes a long way. So you don't have to worry about a whole truckload of sage going on. So we can always add a single leaf to it if we want to, just a bit. Okay, so I put some sage here on the chicken. This one looks like it needs a little love, right? Let's spread that little bit of that sage out. There you go, buddy. Okay, so each piece of chicken has some sage, some garlic, and just a little bit of the red pepper. Okay. So our next step then is we're going to wrap the prosciutto around the chicken. Now, at this point right here, if you want to, which I am going to, I'm going to add a single leaf to each piece of chicken, guaranteeing each chicken is going to get some extra love in there. Then we wrap it with the prosciutto, and then we're going to get ready to cook this chicken. Okay. All right. So there we go, right? Now we got our prosciutto. Oh, the cheese is going on a little bit. All right. My wife's looking at me like, what are we doing with the cheese? What's going on? Just a little bit. It goes on near the end once you brown it. Okay. Uh-oh, my prosciutto is a little cut, guys. Last time I had my prosciutto, it held together very, very well. You see that? I was coming apart a little bit. All right. Okay. I see how you want to do me today. No problem. So, here's how I'm going to get around that, right? Check this out. I'm going to roll my chicken just a little bit, since my prosciutto wants to be funny, right? And then I'm going to wrap my chicken in the prosciutto. Yeah, see that? Last time I bought this brand of prosciutto, it wasn't that fall apart. If that's a word, that's okay. That's okay. Daddy's gonna make you work. Here we go. So we're gonna wrap that piece of chicken in the prosciutto, just like that. All right. We're gonna get some love out of it. She's gonna behave. Okay. Next piece here. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna roll it a bit, so then I don't have so much surface area. Does that make sense? Because we got some beautiful, nice, big pieces of prosciutto here. It's just being a little funny today. All right, I'm gonna do another piece. Let's see how this one's behaving. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you to the prosciutto people. Here we go. And I'm just wrapping her under there just like that. I'm gonna do the same with these. Yeah, normally that brand of prosciutto is normally very good. Don't ask me the name. I just know it by sight when I see it in the pack. For what I'm looking to do. It's thin, but it normally holds it together very well for wrapping. All right, there we go. Good. Maybe it was just the first couple pieces didn't like it. All right, that's this one. And I'm just wrapping it under so that when I put it in the pan, it's not like sear shut. Okay. So I got my last piece here. And again, my sage is in there. Now it's literally sitting in the center. Normally I'll have it sitting on the top, but because I just rolled it, it's going to sit in the center, which is still going to permeate into some awesome flavor. So here we go. I'm just wrapping my chicken in the prosciutto, nice and gently. Okay. All right, see it right there? Boom. So I got my 4 pieces of prosciutto wrapped chicken. Now, our pan's been on the stove and our pan's been heating. So I'm gonna end up taking this chicken over to the stove so we can sear it in the pan. Once the chicken has been seared in the pan, basically we're looking for the, what's the word for it? The chicken and the prosciutto to get crisp and browned, making sure that the chicken inside is done. Our final step is that it's going to go in the oven, and it's going to broil with a piece of the fontina cheese on it. All right, so if you guys have your chicken wrap, go ahead and take that over there near the stove. I'm just going to move my cutting board over there along with my oil. Okay, so I'm over here now at the stove with my cutting board, with my bacon wrapped chicken. I'm over here with my oil. And we're going to get ready to do some sauteing. Okay, I'm going to move my tongs over there so that I can manipulate the chicken. Oh, say that again.
Nice magnet.
Oh, you can see my magnet on the side of my microwave there. My proud UD alumni magnet. Yeah. Let me tell you, I missed not being able to go to the alumni weekend this year. Not like the normal one, but I know once we get through this, it'll be back. It will be back, and it's a great time coming back to UD. Luckily, I live right down the street from UD. Of course, I say my shop is right down the street from UD. So I'm lucky in that perspective. I can be on campus pretty quickly. All right. So we've got our saute pan here. It's been on medium heat. I'm going to, next step would be to add our oil to the pan. Okay, so I'm adding my olive oil to my saute pan there. And if you're not using olive oil, you could use a canola oil or something like that, something that could take some high heat. Okay, so I'm just making sure I'm moving my oil around. Again, we're looking on our recipes here. We're on page 1. We should be on number 4, where it says heat a wide skillet over medium heat. Add your 3 tablespoons of olive oil. When the olive oil looks wavy, let me see, I want to make sure I'm on medium heat. It's looking kind of wavy. All right. We're going to add the remaining sage leaves. So if you're looking at your recipe there, it should say that there's a few large sage leaves, so you can throw them in there. Basically, the sage leaves are just going to give it a little extra flavor. So I'm going to throw in a couple sage leaves. Because we have 4 pieces of chicken, right? So we should have about 4 sage leaves left. Right? And we're just going to get some of that sage flavor to come out in the oil. And we're going to let them crisp for about 30 seconds. And then we'll remove them. So your house should be smelling nice and sagey right now. So it doesn't take long. And really, we just want to let them crisp up a bit. Now, if you're not using the sage, and let's say you're using thyme or you're using rosemary, you can throw it in the oil as well and get a little bit of that rosemary flavor or thyme flavor into your oil. We're crisping the sage leaves also so that we can eat it. Because you can eat the sage leaves, but I advise cooking them, getting them crispy, letting some of that flavor come out in this oil so that when you do eat the sage leaf, it doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? kind of blow your tongue out in the sense that the potency of fresh sage is powerful. The oil is going to tone it down a bit. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out of here. We're going to set that to the side. All right. I'll put them on a little paper towel here. Okay. Soak up a little bit of that oil. I can use it for garnish later. Okay, let's toast it. All right, so these are my sage leaves right here. You can see the paper towel soaking up the oil immediately. So I'm just going to set them to the side for later. Let them chill out. And now it's time to cook some chicken. We're going to use the oil that we were just cooking that sage in, right? And we're going to put our chicken in there. I'm putting it in there with the seams down because I want it to help me sear my prosciutto shut. Now we're going to need to brown this on all sides. This is my only piece here that's a little finicky. You might fall apart a little bit on me. Because that's the one, this guy here had the one that didn't have the longest pieces to wrap around. So if it looks funny, don't judge me. Okay. Oh man, that smells good already. I'm just taking a peek. So you can see it's already searing the bottom shut. You see that? Searing the bottom shut. So we're gonna let this go so it's nice and brown. And then we're gonna rotate it really on all four sides. By pounding the chicken, it does help thin it out some so it actually cooks a little faster as well. So we're gonna let that chicken cook on each side, probably about 2 minutes, 3 minutes per side. And then we're going to end up putting them in a baking dish so we can throw them in the oven. So I got my baking dish on standby here, or a baking pan on standby, so we can put some cheese on there. I think I might get a bigger pan. Let's spread it out just a little more. I think I'll use one of these. And again, I'm a fan of parchment paper. Why am I a fan of parchment paper? Because I don't want to be the one to have to scrub the pan at the end of the night. My girls always say, Daddy, I don't want to scrub the pan either. So I like to use parchment paper here on my baking sheet. So I'm just preparing a baking sheet now so that I can put the chicken on there. And then I know that it's non-stick. Chicken will come right off, and there's not going to be a lot of mess to clean up. So you can see I'm just preparing my pan just like this. That beeping sound that you're hearing is my oven saying, hey, peach and blueberry cobbler with bacon bake. Yeah, buddy, let's take a look. Let me get my oven mitt here so we can take a peek. A little Pillsbury guy here. So this is what I'm looking like right now. I say it needs another 5 minutes, 8 minutes. It's not quite browned on top, but you can see she's nice and bubbly. Some of the biscuits have moved around and so forth. All right, I'm gonna put her back in the oven. She's not quite there. The only spot that looks like it's close is right here in this corner. You see how we're starting to get that little bit of browning right here? So I'm gonna put her back in. Okay. I'm going to reset my timer for 8 minutes. Now, if yours is baking stronger than mine, you adjust your time. But I think I need about 8 minutes. All right, let me check my saltimbocca game here. All right, I'm going to turn it on the side. So you can see I've already got some browning going on this side. So I'm going to flip her over. The heat has pretty much helped her sear shut. Okay, This is the only one that's gonna look funny. Yeah, he's naked on the bottom. So I'm gonna turn him on this side. Okay, and I'm gonna let that go for about 2 to 3 minutes on that side. Okay, so let's recap where we are, everybody. So right now, we are at the point where we have our chicken saltimbocca. It's cooking, right? We have our peach, blackberry, and bacon cobbler in the oven. We've already made our syrup for our soda. So while this saltimbocca is cooking a few minutes on each side, I'm gonna say about 3 minutes and so forth on each side, let's work on the soda just a little bit. So if we're looking at our recipe then, and if you guys want to start sipping sooner than later, we should be looking at the Italian lemon soda. So let's look at that recipe. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick and we're gonna jump in. Okay, let me grab this new towel. La la la. Okay. So we should be on page number 2, Italian lemon soda. We have made our syrup, right? So let me grab my syrup. Uh-oh. See, look, didn't I tell you? Sometimes they'll want to crystallize on you. Okay, so in the event she starts crystallizing on you, she needs a little bit of heat and a little bit of love. I'm gonna warm her up just a little bit in the microwave. Every once in a while, you'll get a sugar crystal in your pot. So how do sugar crystals form? Sugar crystals can form by a number of things. Normally it's created because there was some sort of sediment, either in the sugar itself or in the pot. There could have been a little just speck that started off crystallization. So the way you can defeat that would be we could scrub the bejesus out of the pot the best we can. That's one. Or number 2, we can scrub really good, and we could have added an acid to the pot while you were making your syrup. So what mine is telling me is one of 2 things. Either there was a tiny particle in my sugar or there was a tiny particle in the pot. Sugar, it's going to sound funny. In the manufacturing world, they use the word dirty, which means that in sugar manufacturing, there is a possibility that something could get it. I'm betting it was the sugar before it was the pot. All right? And depends, like if you reached your hand in there and you had a particle on it. All right, so I'm going to turn my saltimbocca again. So I'm just turning it again. I know it's been like 2 to 3 minutes. You'll see right there, you can see. So I'm gonna turn it on this side and I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna turn it on this side, let it go. I'm just rotating that chicken. There we go, I'm gonna rotate this one on the other side. And I'm gonna return it to the heat so she can rock and roll. All right, let me check my syrup here. Okay. That's getting a little better. See how she's getting more fluid? That little bit of heat starts to make her more fluid. So I know to save my syrup, I warmed it up, right? We talked about that. I'm going to go ahead and add some more acid to it. So if we're looking at the recipe here, and you're really reading it, it says that we're going to combine 2 cups of the basil simple syrup with 2 cups of the lemon juice, and then 2 cups of our sparkling water. So if you ever run into a situation, pour your lemon juice into your sugar. It's going to stop that crystallization from happening. See how I can mix it? It's going to stop the crystals from forming. Because the one thing with sugar is a lot of times once crystals start, they kind of want to keep going. This is how like even rock candy is made. Like once they get one piece to start crystallizing, it just takes off for the races. It just keeps going. It just grows and grows and grows. Some of you guys might have kids that have done like the science experiment in school, where once you get the crystals growing in the sugar, they just keep growing and growing. Put a stick in there, the crystals start attaching to the stick, and then the rock candy is formed. So I'm gonna get another knife, and I'm gonna cut my lemons in half. I'm gonna squeeze the rest of my juice right into there. Because I'm saying, you're not gonna beat me, Mr. Crystal. Now, one way you guys can get more juice out of your lemons also is to put them in the microwave. So right before we started, I put my lemons in the microwave for 15 seconds. It kind of loosens them up a bit, get more juice out of it. All right. So as we're making our soda, guys, just remember, glance back at your saltimbocca. Glance back at your saltimbocca. We don't want to let it burn. If you need to shift and make a move, check your saltimbocca, turn it, and then we can come back to the soda. Okay? So I'm looking at my saltimbocca. It's been about 2.5, 3 minutes. I'm going to get ready to turn mine. All right? So I just squeezed the juice out of one lemon. Okay? I'm going to take a time out here for a second and go to my saltimbocca pan. So I squeezed the juice out of one lemon. Taking a time out. Let's check our saltimbocca, everybody. Make sure that we're looking good. Okay. Here's my saltimbocca. She's looking pretty good. You can see how she's browning on all sides. So I'm just making sure every side is getting that love. Okay, so this is my fourth side of my chicken that I'm searing. As you can see, I got good color here. I got color there, but this one side needs some love. So I'm gonna put it on this side, and I'm gonna return it to the pan.
Jeff, if you were to serve the chicken with some sides or veggies, what would you recommend?
Well, if I was to serve the chicken with some sides and veggies, I'm very much a green bean or asparagus guy. I love green beans and asparagus. So those would probably be my first go-to. I think it tastes great with that.
Awesome. And we also have a question. If somebody referring to the soda, if they don't have sparkling water, should they use tonic water or club soda?
Either of those is going to work. I've done it with both. They both taste great. If you don't have sparkling water, club soda is excellent. The tonic water is going to work. Seltzer water is going to work. This is really just to give it a little bit of bubbly.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And like we said earlier, sparkling champagne is definitely going to work.
One last question here while we're on the drink. What's the ratio? Okay. What's the ratio of simple syrup to lemon juice to water?
So in making your simple syrup, which we did earlier, 2 cups of sugar to 1 cup of water will make a good syrup. The reduction of it will probably bring it down to about 2 cups of actual basil simple syrup. So then the ratio would be 2 cups of basil simple syrup to 2 cups of lemon juice to 2 cups of your where is that at? Stop. To 2 cups of your club soda, tonic water, or seltzer water would be the right ratio.
Thank you.
So it's like equal parts. Okay. So I have the remaining lemon juice here. You saw, remember, I did pour some in here, mix it around because I wanted to stop my crystallization, which is going pretty good. I'm gonna put it in the microwave just 1 more second to warm it up a little bit. It should destroy any remaining crystals in there, and then I'll put in the remaining lemon juice. So I'm gonna put mine in here for just a second, about 30-second blast to help destroy any more of my crystals that I had in there. I saw them already breaking down from the juice that was in there so far. All right. So here is our saltimbocca, everybody. Okay. Let me get my spatula. Our chicken should be about done. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Got some nice depth of color on there. Okay. Roll over. There we go. So that's our chicken saltimbocca. Now to finish this up, we want to put some fontina cheese on this guy. Okay, so if we're looking at page 1, we're going to top each piece with a slice of fontina. We're going to put a piece on there just like that. A little cheese cutter here. 2. 3. And one more. And number 4. Got some fontina on there. So once you put your fontina cheese on there, we're going to put her in the oven and we're going to put it on broil. Now with my timer going off, that's telling me I need to check my peach and blackberry bake. So everybody check your peach and blackberry bakes. Let's make sure that we're not burning them up. But that was my timer for that. Ooh, baby. Yeah. Check this ooey gooiness out. I'm gonna have to get a hot plate to bring her over to you so you can see it. Now we're checking our peach and blackberry bake. Once we pull them from the oven, turn your ovens on to broil. Now broil means we're gonna be cooking fast, okay? So go ahead and turn your ovens on the broil once you pull that peach and blackberry bake out. I'm hitting the broil button and I'm hitting start, everybody. My peach and blackberry bake is out. I'm about to bring it over to you so you can see it. But I just turned my oven on to broil. Ooh, wait. Yeah, buddy. This is gonna be some ooey gooey. I don't know if yummylicious is a word, but it is today. Check that out. She's bubbling. She's looking yummy. Okay. All right, guys, so let's take a look there at our chicken saltimbocca fontina love we got going on. We're going to get ready to put that in the oven. Once we put that in the oven, then we'll work on our soda.
Chef,
Okay.
somebody's wondering, do they put their oven on high or low broil?
I have mine on high. She's wide open.
High broil.
Wide open. So when we put her in there, she's going to move pretty quickly. All right. So everybody, let's come around here and let's put our chicken into the oven. She's going on broil. All right. Oh, let me move that one pan. Okay. So I'm putting my chicken in the oven on broil. She's going to move pretty quickly. So we got about 2 minutes, maybe 3 at the most. I advise some peeking. in the oven because everybody's oven cooks a little different. especially the one that asked me, do they have a high broil and a low broil? If they have a high broil and a low broil, their baby can broil, if that's not being redundant. So keep an eye on yours. I'm peeking. Okay. I see my cheese is getting glossy in there, if that's the proper word for it. So keep an eye on her, because she's going to move on it. So in this picture here, guys and gals, I'm on page 2. We're going to do 2 cups of your lemon juice, 2 cups of your syrup, 2 cups of the seltzer water or tonic water or club soda. Any of the above is going to work. Prosecco is going to do the job for you. Vodka could do the job for you. This is definitely one of those ones. Mommy, Daddy, can I have some? Not this lemon soda. No. Especially not if we put the goodies in there. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to check my saltimbocca because I'm on broil. Yep. Everybody check your saltimbocca. Check your saltimbocca. See? Doesn't take long. I could let it go a second longer if I want to, but she's looking pretty good. I see some browning happen right there. I'm going to pull mine out. All right, check your saltimbocca, everybody. We don't want it to burn on you. If your saltimbocca is looking good, go ahead and give the screen some thumbs up, some yeses, all the above in the chat, so we know you're in good shape. Okay. So right now, guys, I'm just playing here. Not playing, but I'm just getting some of those seeds out of my lemon juice here, that last bit I have. I'm just going to peek at the bottom. Oh, there's one seed in there. Let's see if I can get it. Might elude me. Yeah, she's going to fight me. So, all right, honey, whoever drinks the seed in our lemon soda is the winner. My wife just looked at me. All right, so I'm going to pour that into my mixture here. Uh-oh, making a mess. All right, so now I've got my basil and lemon syrup. Get rid of my seeds. Okay, and now I've got this basil and lemon juice syrup all mixed together, right? So I got about 2 cups there. 2 cups of each. So 4 cups total. And now I want to do 2 cups. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Had to twist that cap back on. Tease it. Uh-oh. The other night, I was trying to think, what were we making? I was making a drink with Prosecco in it, right? So it was here on the counter. And I took the foil off, and I took the untwisted, the little thing there. And before I could even say anything, the top shot off across the room. That's why I said, I'm twisting the cap back on. I'm not going to have that happen tonight. All right, so I'm going to do 2 cups. Okay. So I'm going to put that in my pitcher. And then I'm going to add my, should be right on the money. Close to it. Minus my little crystallization. Add that right to it. Okay. And I'm just going to give it a little stir. Now, once you add it all together, if you feel as though it's too sweet, you just add a little bit more of your seltzer water, the sparkling water. I'm just going to give it a quick taste for test. That's good. It might be a tad bit sweet, but that's good. So I'm going to adjust with just a little bit more of the of the water, the seltzer water, but she's good. Okay. That is tasty and refreshing. I'm gonna add a little bit more.
Oh, Chef, this is an important question that just came through.
Okay.
Do you recommend Prosecco instead of club soda or in addition to the club soda?
You said that's a very important question. I recommend if you're gonna do the Prosecco would be instead of the club soda, because Prosecco does have a little bite to it. So I think you can go full on Prosecco without adding the club soda.
Great, thanks.
All right, I'm just gonna mix mine up just a little more, and I'm gonna give it a final taste. Like I said, I thought mine was just a tiny bit sweet. Let's see. Slight taste test. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. My kids are looking at me like, can I have some? Technically, they could because there's no Prosecco in here. But when the camera's off, I might put Prosecco in here. Very, very good. Okay, let's talk chicken. Let's put our chicken in the dish here. Okay, so we got our dish. Let's grab our chicken here. One, two. Okay. We always had that joke. Has anybody seen my girl Fontina? Fontina? Anybody? All right. Dry joke. Okay. All right. So this is my chicken. Saltimbocca. It's been wrapped in the prosciutto. It's got the sage in there. It's got a pinch of red pepper, the garlic. It is delicious. This is what we are shooting for, everybody. That looks amazing. We have our beverages here. It is like a date night. So I'm gonna pour one for my wife. I'm gonna refill mine. I'm gonna leave a little space there should I decide to go and put some Prosecco in there in just a bit. If you have a little bit of lemon peel left from your lemons, you can certainly garnish with a little piece of that. You could garnish with a little piece of lemon. You could garnish with a little piece of thyme. I'm just taking a bit of lemon peel. I broke it. I'm throwing it in there so some of the oils can get released in there. I'm going to take a piece of basil because I have some, right? And we're going to do what we call bruising the basil leaf, which is you're going to crumple it a little bit. You'll see it get a little bit darker, but that just means that you've bruised it, you've broken the cells. You see some little lines in there, right? See how I bruised it? I can put it in the drink now. I'll get a little bit of extra basil up. Okay. Same with this one. So I'm just really getting my drinks ready, guys. See how I bruised the leaf? It's not as pretty as it was. It's gotten a little darker. That means I've just crushed part of the cell structure. I drop it in there. I let it do its thing, and it's going to get a little love in there. I'm going to grab a couple pieces of ice. Keep it chilling. Let's throw a couple pieces of ice there in our soda. Keep it nice and brisk. I've got our fried sage leaves. We'll just use to garnish each piece of our saltimbocca. Okay. Uh-oh, get back on there. Okay, it just doesn't want to stay. Somebody stay. There we go. All right. Could be because I have the fan on too. All right. Oh, that was good.
Wow, that looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we can't forget dessert, guys, right? So we've got our bake here. We've got our beverages here. I guess we need to go ahead and put our bake into a little bowl with some ice cream, right?
Look at that. Wow.
All right, let me just wipe my counter. Let's get our bowl for ice cream and cobbler. Now, this ice cream and cobbler is definitely a fat boy treat, as I call it. It's probably one of those dishes where my kids say, "Can I have some?" And my answer might be, I share a lot. This one might be a You got to get your own. All right, so I got my ice cream scooper. I got my little bowl here. Let's dig in here. See what we're working with. Oh, she's fruity. Look at that. See all those juices? This is going to be crazy. All right, so I'm going in here. Look at that. Daddy needs a bigger piece.
I wish we had television.
Right. This is great. All right, so I got my cobbler in a bowl. But what cobbler would not be complete without some ice cream? So this is a summer version. You could totally do a fall version, though, if you wanted to switch it up and do like pears and cranberries. That would be delicious. Daddy's definitely a 2-scoop kind of dude, so I'm going to do 2 scoops of ice cream on mine. Okay, so there we go. We got our summer peach, blackberry, and bacon cobbler. We've got our chicken saltimbocca, and we have our Italian lemon soda. What do you guys think? Everybody have a good time? Everybody kept up tonight? I think from the questions you guys were asking, it sounds like you were doing a phenomenal job, because some of the variations that I was hearing with the thyme and the rosemary and the Prosecco and the gin and the vodka, I would definitely want to come to your house to experience a meal.
Yeah, Chef Ricky, great comments and questions. Everybody's enjoying it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, if you loved cooking with me tonight, please take some pictures, share them on social media. Please tag the University of Delaware in them. Catherine, is there any specific hashtag or particular tag you'd like them to use tonight?
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to say a few words of thanks, and we have a slide that we can show with some of those tags on it.
Wonderful.
Many of you mentioned variations to the recipes, and we would love to see, even if you didn't use a variation, a photo of your meal and how you enjoyed your evening. But Dana, we especially want to thank you for your time, and your energy, and your enthusiasm tonight, as well as your wonderful wife, who was your camera woman tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you both. And to everybody who tuned in tonight, thank you so much, and for submitting your questions. We hope you enjoyed the program tonight and spending a few minutes with UD during your summer evening. And again, on the screen, you should be able to see a tag for UD alumni and Desserts by Dana. There it is. And so we ask that you tag those in the photos that you share, and we look forward to seeing your creations. So we will be sending out a short survey on the event, and we would appreciate your responses to that once you receive it. And this was recorded as well, and you'll be able to view that early next week. So thank you again, Chef Dana, and to your wonderful, and to our alumni for joining our program tonight. Have a good night, everybody.